Hey guys, how's it going? Seems lately we've been talking a lot about the ATF and how they've raided allegedly a couple different manufacturers that are adjacent to the firearms industry. And a lot of you talk about, what would you do if the ATF showed up to your house? And a lot of you in the comments have mentioned scenarios of you calling the local police, maybe your local PD or your sheriff's department, and what might happen. And I'm about to go over an article that a viewer sent me, so thank you very much. And it's called ATF Agent Accuses Columbus Police Officers of Excessive Force. So, of course, the ATF's at the door, right? And you're going to make sure, first and foremost, that your dog's in order and that your Roomba vacuum cleaner is safe and protected. But then you call the police. Well, let's see what happened here in Columbus. So I'm going to switch over here. And this is from the Columbus Dispatch. The article's by Bethany Bruner, and I'm going to leave a link to this down in the description. So it starts off, an agent with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms has filed a federal lawsuit accusing two Columbus police officers of using excessive force against him while he was working in his official capacity. Agent James Burke, a 16-year-old veteran of the ATF, said in the lawsuit he was working a routine assignment on July 7th. That afternoon, he went to a home on the 3300 block of Edgebrook Drive near Dublin to retrieve a shotgun from someone who was not permitted to have the firearm. So while a lot of you guys have lawfully owned property and you believe it would be just completely unconstitutional for the ATF to come for your stuff, and allegedly this person wasn't, quote, allowed to have a firearm, I think this is still interesting and something you guys might, find interesting just like me. The lawsuit said that Burke was in his normal work attire, which was described as casual professional, with his credentials in a pocket and an ID card around his neck. When Burke knocked at the door of the home, a person inside called 911 and read the dispatcher Burke's badge number while refusing to open the door. According to the lawsuit, this happens routinely, and Burke had never had an issue with dispatchers or officers verifying his status as an ATF agent on assignment. However, in this instance, Burke said the dispatcher told the 911 caller not to answer the door and dispatched Columbus police officers Joseph Fahey, a 20-year member of the division, and Kevin Winchell, who is also a 20-year veteran officer. When Fahey arrived at the scene, Agent Burke stood outside the home's front door and waved the officer over to where he was standing, the lawsuit said. Even though Agent Burke had both hands raised and had represented that he was a federal agent, Officer Fahey immediately drew his weapon and pointed it, while simultaneously screaming at Burke to get on the ground. So the lawsuit said Burke told Fahey and Winchell, who arrived a short time later and also drew his gun while ordering Burke to the ground, that his credentials were in his pocket. So basically we've got the Fed boys against the local boys, and they're giving orders, and the other one's saying, but I'm an agent, and they're just saying, get on the ground. This is interesting. I guess most of the time, local police officers join in with the feds, the ATF, to help on these raids or confiscations of firearms. But let's read on. It sounds like that did not happen here in Columbus. Fahey pointed his firearm at Burke for more than 90 seconds, according to the lawsuit, before both Fahey and Winchell climbed on his back while violently twisting and pulling his arms to handcuff him. The lawsuit said the officers also used a taser on Burke multiple times while he was face down and not evading arrest, before handcuffing Burke and placing him in the back of a cruiser, a process that involved pulling him into the car because the seatbelt was in the way. After about an hour, during which Burke said he was denied water and frequently disparaged to everyone in earshot by Fahey, Burke was released without charges. Agent Burke acted lawfully and posed no immediate threat to Officer Fahey and Winchell, or anyone else, the lawsuit says. Agent Burke did not resist the officers' attempt to flee from their custody or display any physical aggressiveness towards them. The lawsuit said the body cameras captured much of the incident and that the footage was shared with CPD for no apparent purpose. Now it goes on to say since then Burke has moved to an administrative role within the ATF because of the incident and injuries, both physical and psychological, Burke says he suffered. The lawsuit names the city of Columbus, Fahey, and Winchell as defendants and argues that this part of a pattern of misconduct by Columbus police and a lack of investigation into officers' behavior, calling it unconstitutional policing. The Division of Police said it does not comment on pending litigation. So this is really interesting because we have a case where there's a citizen allegedly wasn't allowed to own a firearm, but the point is the ATF came to his house to take the gun. He called the police. The police showed up. The police obviously arrested, detained this federal agent, and now the federal agent is suing the police. So what gives here? We've got one group that's coming, take the gun, all right, and then the local police come, allegedly roughed him up, unlawfully arrested him, allegedly in this lawsuit. So I'm just going to read the comments and see what you guys think of this. I have some opinions on it myself, and I just think the whole thing's interesting. It kind of goes in a full circle where you have the federal police accusing the local police of unconstitutional policing. Meanwhile, all of us are looking at the Second Amendment and thinking the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, right? All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.